Ebro in the morning, Laura Styles, Rosenberg. Give it up for our brother, Uncle Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph.
Yo. The program, Ralph McDaniels. You know the name. Video Music Box legend. And now, children's workbook. Well, coloring. What is this?
It's a coloring workbook.
Coloring workbook.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
Yes.
Roscoe learns about Video Music Box.
Yeah.
So you got the young people learning about hip hop and the origins of the Video Music Box in the city.
Yeah, look, I think that, libraries, bookstores, we need to be in that space a little bit more, hip-hop. And, we always talk about pushing the culture as we, move through Hip-Hop 50. And I was like, look, I work with the library. Let's get some more books in these spaces, and especially for the younger people, because I got to catch them before they, they get to Sexyy Red and all that stuff.
Well said. Well said.
Well, you teamed up with a teacher to put this together. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so Shaw Donaldson and Ed Hayes actually approached me about doing the book.
Okay.
And Shaw's a teacher in Baltimore, tough town. And she was like, look, I have an idea. And she wrote the book. I came back to her. I said, this is not working for me. Let's change a few things. But she was a teacher, and I respected her opinion on things. And, we got it together. And, and New York teachers, I took it to Brooklyn. I took it to Queens. And I said, what do y'all think? And they were like, this is amazing, Ralph. We need this in every school. So,
nice.
So that's my goal, to get it in every school, not just in New York, but, anywhere that, junior high school kids, middle school kids would really enjoy this.
Oh, so when you open the book, obviously there's plenty of pages to start coloring, but also the morning sun shined bright through Roscoe's bedroom window. It was the first day of summer. Roscoe sat up in bed and yelled, "Yeah, it's summertime and I'm out of school." Roscoe reached for his cell phone. Time out. How old's Roscoe?
Roscoe's 8, 9. Yeah.
Too early for a cell phone, parents.
Come on, man. Look, this is what's happening out here, man.
Nah, bro, I don't care what's happening out here.
I want to know where my kid is at, especially in the days that we live in right now.
Wait,
I
but
want to make sure
kids
he's okay
8, 9 years
and I can
old
call him.
or without adults?
No, I'm talking about when they're in school. Look.
Right,
I
even
can't
during the
trust
day.
him. I can't trust. I want to make sure my kid is all right.
So you just want a way to contact them.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, also-
a lot of kids, 8, 9, that go to public school, especially in the city, do have cell phones.
Yeah, they have something in
Now,
their backpack.
They have cell phones for kids that are young that only really have 4 numbers in them.
Right,
It don't got to be an iPhone. I think parents make a mistake when they give kids access to the internet, music, video games, everything.
Back to
all in a
Sexyy
phone.
Red. You don't even find that video.
Now we done fast forwarded over our coloring workbook and we're back to Sexyy Red and
Only red crayons to be dealing with.
That's right. That's right. Ralph, did you imagine that this stage in your life you would be doing so much career-wise still, and that the Video Music Box brand in some ways would be as healthy as ever?
No, actually not. I got a little nervous at some point and was like, look, I really need to get on my job. And that's for anybody that's out here that's been around from day one. You can't expect from what you did in the 80s and 90s to still continue into 2024. You have to stay on your job like it was yesterday. So I don't care how successful you are.
Well, also, what I think you've done is, we have a lot of times where they're like legends who've done amazing things, who you end up sort of feeling bad for because their name isn't out there, they don't get their flowers, and you're kind of like, oh, it's a bummer. And particularly because Video Music Box was a regional New York show, right? Like, I didn't grow up on Video Music Box.
Yeah.
I grew up hearing about it from rappers. It easily could have ended up not getting what it was supposed to get. But to your credit, I think because you always stayed active and kept sort of transforming what you did, now it feels like at least you get the flowers and love that you deserve. Does it feel that way? Like you do get that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think for people who grew up in New York, clearly, it was a staple for everything that you did. When you went home, you turned on the TV at 3:30 and you watched the show from 3:30 to 4, and you stayed out of trouble for that.
Half hour.
Whatever it was. But for people outside, I felt like I still had to prove something over these years. And, and I still can go into a town and like, I don't know what you're talking about with Video Music Box. And I still have to prove that to, this is what it was. And this is what hip hop looked like, 40 years ago when we started. It wasn't like now where we have a station like this where we can listen to hip hop 24 hours.
Right.
That didn't exist. This was the only place where you could get hip hop and myself and guys like Red Alert, and you know, this is it. You know, you waited for that hour, and you got your little hip hop, you got your whole hip hop culture in at that particular hour, and then you went on about your day.
Yeah, people don't know about waiting till nighttime for Mick's show to start. Like you were like,
wait until nighttime,
or weekends.
Wait till Friday night.
Yeah, wait till Friday night. Really? Yeah, Friday night, 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
now we're gonna get to hear some songs.
You didn't even go on radio. Didn't go till Mick's show at night shows until 92.
Right.
91, 92.
On weekend nights?
No, on a
or
weeknights. 91, 92 was 92 was KMEL.
Yeah.
And 93 was Funk Flex.
Yeah. No, it was a tough time. I mean, but you appreciated it.
Yeah.
You know,
You did appreciate it, though.
Of course.
Oh, no, you taped it. You recorded it.
Yeah, you really did take it. You didn't take it for granted in those days. It meant a lot.
Well, and I think that take it for granted part. I think we've evolved to a space now where a lot of people take this hip hop thing for granted.
Yes.
And it's just like I want to catch a few dollars real quick, so I'm gonna throw some stuff on the internet. I don't care what it sound like. You know, I don't care about the quality. I don't care what I'm talking about. I don't care, even about protecting or, making sure that the music has something to say and share something, that's going on in my neck of the woods, if you will. I think a lot of people, it's a money grab.
Oh, absolutely. I just think it's very cool, Ralph, that you've been out there so much and repping your brand so hard. Because, I feel bad for the people who don't do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's blame to go around sometimes on yourself. Because you decide, I'm going to remember this as I get older. If I want people to remember what I believe I've contributed, you have to continue to try to contribute. If you just sit back and go, I hope everyone remembers what I did.
Well, even deeper than that. Well, so not everybody's going to be a Ralph, right? Because Ralph was promoting a product from day one, which was Video Music Box, he's been getting the word out. So he's that's in practice.
Right.
Right? Not everybody has that in their tool.
Yeah, the toolbox, right?
I talked to some of my peers from back in the days, and instead of thinking about putting out a record at this stage of the game, maybe you should think about doing what we're doing in schools and go to museums and because you have a story, you know how to orally say it. So do what you're doing, but maybe on another space, in another space. So. For all of those women and men that are out there, I don't know if I need to hear a record from you right now, but I think I would like to hear you or see you in schools and talking to universities, because these universities, these kids want to hear about it, and there's a check there.
It's beautiful.
Right.
It's so well said.
Yeah.
And listen, there's already, just because there's already a ton of podcasts, there's still an opportunity for people who've been around to do and be in that space and do something. You know what I mean?
Rosenberg's doing all the podcasts. There's no room for you to go podcast.
Yeah.
Podcasts.
I mean, listen, there's room for more than, Joe Budden. There's a handful. There's still more room, and so many people that have valuable things to contribute. But you're right, it doesn't necessarily have to be your new single. Doesn't have to be.
And
could be.
I'd rather hear it from people that were there sometimes, because sometimes it's the, third or fourth version of it, and it's like, no, that was completely wrong.
Well, I'm absolutely sure. Because honestly, speaking as someone who's in that group, I know we're guessing. We're guessing. It's almost like history now. You're like, well, they say they'd go out in the park and plug into the lamppost.
Right.
But it's like, no, there are still cats who are around for that.
No, there are people that were there. There are stories. That's why with Video Music Box, I've archived all of this content for the last 40 years, 20,000 hours of content. Last time we were here, Ebro, I talked about my Video Music Box collection and making sure that we get all of this content digitized so that it can, go forward for the next 100 years, and kids can go look at it in schools or in universities or in museums or in whatever it is that hip hop archive history will be in.
It will be there.
Yeah.
Ralph, on that, are you proud of how, for the most part, what you're seeing with the commemoration and celebration of 50 years of hip hop?
I think, it was commercial. It was very commercial. We were hosting at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And Mass Appeal did a great job, because it was tough, to get all of those people in and make it happen in Yankee Stadium. But a lot of the other events I thought were just kind of like blowing over, the whole story. And it was a lot of money that was dedicated to the hip hop 50th anniversary. and those people took all that money for themselves and created some kind of content and, and events, and it was like, what is this? Like
it did kind of happen. It was. See, that's why Ebro and I had a little bit of a back and forth, because Ebro's point was that why would you be surprised that companies and corporations are going to do this? This is, and there's there's upside to that, and there is. Like
Yes.
people are. But there was
tons of artists who made money too.
There
that
are.
didn't make money before, or don't
Absolutely.
get to make money.
Yeah,
and I just want to say, and I'll let you finish. A lot of tours now are happening because people were reminded of how great these
Legacy acts.
legends, these
Yeah.
legacy acts are
Yes.
on stage.
And I agree. So, like, I do agree that there's a lot of good that came from it. But I also had the same feeling you did, which was that, wait a second, for 50 years, people basically slept on this culture and thought it wasn't worthy and it wasn't good. Then, when we celebrate 50, the ones getting to profit off of it are all the same places that really weren't trying to be down. Yeah. Now y'all get the big check to be like, yay, hip hop 50. Yeah. It was just irritating on some level.
But it's also indicative of a culture that is always in a place of asking for financial support.
Yes.
There's a couple of individuals that could have just put up the dough for us to do 50 years. They have the money to do it, right? That's not how they want to spend their money.
Right.
But they have the money to just be like, Hov could have just been like, here's X whatever if I want to, or Dre, or M, or give me another name, Puff. Or tons of people could have just said, here's money, boom, go, and let's do something awesome. Organizing that, who's going to manage it, da-da-da. So guess what ends up happening? Corporations come in, they hire an event company, and they throw Hip Hop 50 on a thing. And once again, shout to Mass Appeal, who is an events company, an agency,
but co-owned by Nas, too.
But co-owned by Nas, which is the great part of what Mass Appeal did, which is why bigging them up makes sense.
No, listen,
they
and listen, they made their money, obviously, and had all their corporate deals, but you're right, there's a feeling of commitment, at least to culture, through Nas and Peter and what they do, that you believe it and appreciate it. But you're right, there are a lot of people. Frankly, I will say my biggest disappointment, and I think you echo this sentiment, there were a lot of legends who we love who did not really weigh in on Hip Hop 50 and participate.
Nothing to say.
And maybe there's logic behind the scenes, and maybe Nas reached out and tried, and the dollars didn't make sense. But we certainly missed some voices.
Well, I think at this stage of the game, especially for 50, and one thing that KRS-One said to me, says we should be giving back to the community on Hip Hop 50. Now, everybody may not agree with KRS-One on that one, but there are people that have a considerable amount of money that could have done that, and it would have been no big deal. They do that for their friends. So.
Right.
Well, listen. I mean, I know a lot of people in the game that give a lot all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
So 50 years of hip hop isn't like, hey, I'm gonna do something. You know what I mean? Hov, what did he do at the Brooklyn Library? Book of Hov. Right, which was helping the library. Which I think when we look back at it, didn't that wasn't Eric Adams cutting money to the libraries or something like that?
Absolutely.
He was trying
absolutely.
to.
Well, he's cutting across the board.
Right, it's cutting across the board.
But it affected the library specifically.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the Book of Hov thing, I guess, has reinvigorated the possibilities of that library in ways that are like unprecedented.
Yeah.
Right? And then he just interviewed with Gayle King at the library too, right?
Yeah. And so it's pushing the culture forward once again, into spaces, where we weren't allowed to go. We weren't allowed to go into libraries and make noise before. To get those kids out of here.
Right.
We weren't allowed to go into museums and these type of spaces, but now I think they need us. So I think that we can work together, and the culture clearly has proved itself. We've been here for 50 years.
And there's room for people like yourself and of our age range, because what are they going to do? Go to the... I don't know. All due respect, I don't know that the little youngs are ready to jump in and start doing these things and taking it to those places. No. So it's a good place for the kind of elder statesmen and women of hip hop to do that.
Can't smoke L's in the library. So.
Yeah, we've come a long way, but we're not there yet. You know what I mean? Roscoe's not smoking a joint here.
No, he's not.
And trust, in the 90s, there was plenty of artists that weren't ready for prime time either.
Yes.
There were plenty of artists.
I wouldn't have trusted them then.
We didn't act like,
some of the people I would trust now, we wouldn't have trusted then, right? But we grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, if you listen to the lyrics from some of the 80s and 90s songs, you're like, how does this get played on the radio?
Oh, we talk about that a lot.
All the time.
We talk about that a lot.
All the time. Well, it's interesting you say that too, because another thing with the video and video content, because you actually have made music videos for a long time.
Yeah.
As well as the video music box of sharing music videos with the community. This idea that the content that we're hearing in the music today is somehow new or more racy than it's ever been before. And I'm always like, nah.
It might be more racy though.
Now?
More in terms of how far they go.
Yeah.
Mainstream stuff goes further than it went then.
Well, yeah, things that get played on mainstream.
Yeah.
Yes, like
I'll
you'll
give you that.
point to 2 Live Crew, but I'll be like, yeah, but the dirty version of 2 Live Crew wasn't available everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
Back to Sexyy Red for the third time.
right, but Sexyy Red, I listen to this. I don't think Sexyy Red is going farther than Lil Kim was going.
Oh, I do. I do. I think Kim seems
think
like
so?
Skinamax. Relative, I feel like Kim was Skinamax and Sexyy Red
you could
is.
argue Kim was classier in ways, right?
Well, I
but she
mean-
still was taking it in the butt. She still was, you know what I mean? She still was, I don't want dick tonight, eat my pussy right. She still was. And in between there was storytelling and a lot of skills, for sure. I'm not talking about skill set. I'm just talking about literally how sex was described in the record.
So she was classier than Sexyy Red.
Yes,
And
I
she
think
was-
it's still
yeah,
a step
and she
up.
was
Well,
more
no, her,
embraced by the
her
fashion
presentation,
and,
like
you know,
she was
yes.
wearing Gucci and she was wearing Louis and whatever, however you want to term it. She wasn't technically a stripper, but she was definitely.
But remember, she also said things that were relatable. I used to be scared of the dick. She used to be. But now she throws lips to the.
That's right.
Hold up, we're talking about my kids.
Oh, sorry. Edit that part. Back to the
Well, no,
children's
the
book.
parents gotta buy the book. The kid ain't watching it.
You're all right.
Where
We're
can
promoting
they
this to
buy- Where
parents.
can they purchase these books?
You can get it online right now at itascabooks.com, and it's available. I'm doing a talk this week at a couple of colleges, and they've all ordered the book because night school, the kids stay in, I guess, some type of room when they want to, entertain the kids. So
Okay.
they're giving the books to the kids.
Itasca Books.
Yeah.
ITASCA Books.com.
Well, and it should be
Itasca
noted
Books.
that
It'll be in
these are-
stores
this-
soon.
It should be noted this is for 7 and over. Yes.
Yes.
7 and older.
I mean, there's some kids that are a little
A little
quicker.
bit more advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say
Yes.
the educational part is for 7 years plus because there is filling in the blank on words and understanding nouns and verbs and some of that stuff in there as well.
Yeah, and none of those fill in the blanks are like Lil Kim or Sexyy Red lyrics.
No, matter of
This is
fact,
just
they
a
were
nice
harder than
story.
Rosenberg couldn't even.
Yeah,
fill
by
in.
the way, I was kind of like, damn, I've been done this in a long.
I had no
Fill in the
idea
blank with the missing
that this
word
was
from
gonna
the
go to
story.
Sexyy Red.
Laura,
love
fill in the blank
this.
from the missing word from the story.
Let me see.
Roscoe ran into the blank and yelled, "Mom and Dad, I'm out of school for the summer." What did he yell?
He ran to the living room.
No, Laura.
No, what is
Ran
it?
into the blank and yelled.
Yeah, what was the blank?
What's the blank? He ran into the.
What do you mean?
He ran
In
into the
house?
kitchen.
In the house?
Kitchen.
He ran into the kitchen. It's
Ah.
retention. He said it earlier.
Mom and Roscoe ran
Everybody's
into
in
the
the
kitchen and
Ah.
yelled, "Mom, Dad, I'm out of school for the summer."
Got you. Okay. Yeah, this is not for me.
Pam, you
too
mean
hard.
You
paying
just
attention?
forgot, Laura. You forgot.
No, Laura has a problem paying
I
attention.
do.
Right. By the way, if we do this every day with her,
It's-
she
it's
still won't
very
get
That
it
would be
together.
awesome if you
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Yo, his name is Ralph McDaniels. Uncle Ralph is what we call him. We love you, sir. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much
This is
for
so
everything
cool.
you've always
So
done.
cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Roscoe Learns about Video Music Box now.
Your wife, by the way, has your wife made you throw out every shirt that's not a Video Music Box sweatshirt? Because let's be honest, that's all you're wearing.
As you should.
Where do you get
Look.
the merch, Ralph? Shout the merch.
Hey,
Yes.
look, go to videomusicbox.com. You can get your shirts right now. Hey, look, I'm coming on with Ebro, Laura, and Rosenberg. I got to make sure I have
The
my-
brand is right.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Wow.